The wind on Selim Station smelled like recycled nitrogen and something faintly metallic, the kind of air that never quite let you forget you were millions of miles from any real sky. Mara Ellison didn't mind. She lay flat on the cold polymer floor of firing range 7, her cheek pressed against the stock of her Mk9 pulse rifle, her breathing so slow and deliberate that the Zorthian cadet beside her actually leaned over and poked her shoulder to make sure she was alive. "She's doing it again," hissed Cadet Threx, his four-fingered hand withdrawing quickly. He spoke to the others in the low, clicking dialect of his homeworld, but the universal translator on Mara's collar caught every word. "The human just lies there. Like prey." Soft, chittering laughter rippled down the range. There were 11 cadets in the Advanced Marksmen program at Selim Station's Joint Species Military Academy, 8 aliens, 2 humans, and 1 who was technically both. Mara was the quietest of all of them, and that silence had become a source of endless entertainment. The Drovians found her stillness unsettling. The Therathi found it hilarious. Even Cadet Sorix, whose species communicated entirely through posture, had managed to convey something that translated roughly as, "This one is broken." Mara exhaled slowly through her nose. The targeting reticle on her scope drifted a millimeter left, 2 millimeters down, then settled. Her finger hovered over the trigger, not touching it, not yet. She felt her heartbeat in her fingertip. She counted between the beats. She waited. There. The pulse round crossed 800 meters in a fraction of a second and struck the center of the moving target, not where it was, but where it would be. The holographic scoring system chimed once. Perfect. Mara sat up, rolled her shoulders, and began field stripping the weapon without looking at it. Nobody laughed this time. But they recovered quickly. "Lucky shot," Threx muttered. His own score, 71% on stationary targets, glowed dimly on his panel. "She flinched before she fired," added Cadet Sorix, shifting her body plates in what the translator called obvious dismissal. "A proper shooter does not hesitate." "I wasn't hesitating," Mara said quietly. She didn't look up from the rifle components she was cleaning. "I was waiting." "For what?" Threx spread his arms. The target was already in range. You had 3 seconds before it passed the optimal window. You used all 3. "I know. That is inefficient." Mara finally looked at him. Her eyes were very still, very dark, the kind of calm that wasn't emptiness, it was depth. "You fired in the first second," she said. "You hit at 71%. Threx bristled. "I also fired in the first second," she continued, voice even, "when I calculated my shot, mapped the wind drift, corrected for the target's lateral acceleration, measured my own heartbeat, and confirmed the firing window. I just did all of it quietly." The range went silent. Then the door at the far end of the room opened, and every cadet snapped to attention so fast that 2 of them knocked over their equipment. General Kale Veyron walked like gravity owed him something. He was Valdrani, tall, angular, with a hide the color of ash and old iron, and 6 decades of active warfare written across every line of his body. He had fought in the siege of Drovan Prime. He had survived the Corridor of 12 Suns. He had once, famously, called a ceasefire by personally dismantling an enemy artillery array with his bare hands and presenting the components to the opposing general as a gift. He was not a being who inspired comfort. He moved slowly down the line of cadets, examining their scoring panels, their stances, their weapons. He stopped at Threx and studied the 71% for a long moment. Said nothing. Moved on. He stopped at Mara. She was still seated, still cleaning her weapon, because she had not yet heard the order to stand and had therefore not stood. Her score glowed beside her, 94%, moving targets, advanced difficulty. General Veyron looked at the score. Then he looked at Mara. Then he looked at the other cadets, who were doing various species-specific versions of trying to appear very small. Who, he said, in a voice like tectonic plates shifting, was laughing? Nobody answered. Which was, of course, its own kind of answer. Veyron crouched, a slow, deliberate movement, and picked up one of the rifle components Mara had set aside. He turned it over in his massive hands with surprising delicacy. I have served in 7 wars, he said. Not loudly. He never needed to be loud. I have fought alongside 41 species. I have watched great warriors die because they moved too fast. I have watched wars be lost because commanders fired before they understood what they were firing at. He set the component down carefully. Do you know what every marksman I have trusted with my life has had in common? The range was so quiet that the recycling units in the ceiling could be heard humming. They breathed like her, Veyron said. He stood. The Farathi fire fast. Admirable. They are also ranked 16th in long-range accuracy across the coalition military. He turned to look at Threx specifically. The Zorthians fire with confidence. Also admirable. They account for 34% of friendly fire incidents at ranges above 500 meters. He let that sit. Humans, the ones who train correctly, do something that most species find very difficult. They disappear inside the moment. They do not race it. They do not fight it. They wait inside it, like they own it. He began walking again, slowly circling the group. Cadet Sorix said this one hesitated. He paused behind Sorix, who had the good sense not to move. Cadet Sorix, what is your score on moving targets today? A small, miserable sound. 63%, General. And Cadet Ellison? A worse silence. 94, General. So. He resumed walking. The one who hesitated outscored the one who didn't hesitate by 31 percentage points. He stopped in the center of the room. There is a word in the old Valdrani combat tongue. Verith. It does not translate perfectly. The closest human phrase I have found is, the stillness that is not waiting, but arriving. He looked at Mara. A marksman does not wait for the right moment. A marksman becomes the right moment. The body slows. The mind expands. And when it is time, not a second before, not a second after, the shot is no longer a decision. It is an inevitability. Mara had stopped cleaning the rifle. She was watching the general with the same quality of attention she gave a target. The galaxy has a habit, Veyron said, of underestimating humans. I made that error once. Early in my career. A human soldier was brought before me as a prisoner of war. She was calm. Almost disturbingly calm. My officers thought she was in shock. I thought she was broken. He paused. She escaped custody, disabled our communications array, and was 3 kilometers away before anyone knew she was gone. Using nothing but a length of wire and patience. Something moved across his face that might have been, in another species, a smile. I put her name on my honor wall. She never knew. He turned back to the cadets. Marksmen remain patient, he said. It was not a motivational phrase. It was a statement of fact, delivered the way one might report weather. That is not a style choice. That is not a personality trait. It is the fundamental discipline of the craft. If you cannot be still, you cannot be accurate. If you cannot be accurate, you are not a marksman. You are simply a person who fires things and hopes. He stopped in front of Threx. You have talent, cadet, he said. You have speed and natural aim. Do not waste it by refusing to learn stillness. He moved on. All of you, clean your weapons. Tomorrow we repeat this exercise. I expect every score to rise. He reached the door and stopped with his hand on the frame. Cadet Ellison. Mara straightened. Sir. That was an exceptional shot on target 9. The lateral correction was precise. He did not look back. Do not let anyone convince you that patience is weakness. Weakness does not hit moving targets at 800 meters. He paused. Strength knows how to wait. The door closed behind him. For a long moment, nobody moved. Then Threx exhaled a long, clicking breath, looked sideways at Mara, and said, in a tone that had shed every trace of mockery, "Will you show me how you control your breathing?" Mara considered him for a moment. Then she reached over, picked up her rifle, and set it in front of him. "Start here," she said. "Learn the weight of it. Don't try to hold it still. Let yourself be still with it." She didn't say it like she was teaching him a lesson. She said it like she was letting him in on something quiet, and real, and worth knowing. Outside the viewport, the stars didn't move either. They just burned.